with 69 missions and 59 weapons, a few of which are completely useless. Can we carefully craft a playthrough where each weapon is used only once? Here's what I mean. For any given mission, the selected weapon or weapons will be available with unlimited ammo and shared across all 3 characters. Once that mission ends, those weapons are sent to the Shadow Realm, never to be used again. Since the game repeats some weapons across multiple missions, I'm granting myself full autonomy over weapon selection. Otherwise, the challenge would be impossible by default. Also, it goes without saying, I'm not responsible for characters outside of my control, and the list of usable weapons I will be borrowing from the wiki. With that out of the way, let's find out if it's possible to beat GTA 5 using each weapon only once. The game starts with a bank heist, and we can instantly cross off the carbine rifle. Even though we haven't shot anyone yet, we're still using it to intimidate the hostages. The vault door goes flying out, and we head inside to collect our money. Then a security guard tries to play hero. He dies trying. Then we step outside and start spraying lead from our carbine rifle into the incoming cops. As our getaway driver picks us up, the police keep chasing us. What were they gonna? I guess we'll never know. Our escape goes from bad to worse as we completely trash the car. He didn't check around the back.
Hey, Brad's gonna be fine.
He wasn't fine.
I'm gonna leave you, Mikey.
He did leave Mikey. 9 years later, we see Michael talking to a very crappy therapist, a vague pseudo-intellectual who charges like he's giving out happy endings. The story switches to Franklin and Lamar as they're doing a repossession job. I religiously chose the white car, shout out to the white car gang. Then we race Lamar back to Simeon, who immediately sends us on another repossession job. The bike we're after is in a garage inside gang territory. But uh-oh, the garage is empty and all of the local fauna gets alerted to our presence. Since we're still at the very beginning of the game, I decided that maybe preserving better weapons for later is a good idea. And it was. The problem is, the taser isn't exactly built for this much action. Still, it was entertaining watching the gang dudes get tased in the balls over and over again until they passed away. After using the environment to our advantage and patiently waiting for Lamar to shoot them while I permanently paralyzed someone, we finally see the bike we're after speeding away. After a short chase, we tase the guy and take the bike.
We can't repo the assets of a dead man.
Wait, what? What do you mean dead man? We just tased him. Unless he had some heart problems, he should be fine. When we return to Simeon, he gives us more work and sends us after another car. But uh-oh, the guy from whose garage we stole it was sleeping in the bag the whole time. He orders us to drive straight into the store. Then we switch to Michael and grab the golf club. The fists are going to be important later. After a very unorthodox golfing session, Michael then heads home where Franklin shows up. Before they can really talk, Jimmy calls to say the boat's been stolen. So we go after it and send Franklin on board to intercept it. A guy comes out and Franklin deals with him. Another guy comes out and Franklin doesn't deal with him. That's where we have to shoot him. Hold on, Franklin, I'm searching for the AP pistol and I missed it. Oh man, there's a lot to go through, huh?
Shoot this motherfucker in the face already.
There we go. Shoot the guy bothering Franklin, catch Jimmy, grab Franklin, and then the car's engine gives out, forcing us to abandon the chase. We say goodbye to the AP pistol and the boat. Back in the hood, Lamar comes up with some hoodonomics, kidnapping someone. The guy we're trying to snatch doesn't exactly see the vision, so he runs. Chops in the back of the van too.
Do that weird, like, focus shit you do.
Turns out we're not the only ones who crash. So does the guy we're chasing. We continue on foot until Chop catches up with him. And take it from these two. If you're going to kidnap someone, you probably don't want them to know you, or at least recognize you. Imagine kidnapping your grandmother. That would be a very awkward family reunion. Since we completely fumbled the whole thing, we end up letting the guy go. Then we get a few plot missions. Michael's wife has been getting some action with the tennis coach, and since he was busy pulling her pants down, Michael decides to pull the support out from under his mansion. But uh-oh, the coach was just hiding there. The mansion actually belongs to a guy running the cartel. He sends some cars after us, and instead of wasting hoisting a weapon here, I just start chasing them. They kind of got confused and exited their cars. Even though we make our escape, Madrazo still sends Michael the invoice for the ruined mansion. With that massive bill hanging over his head, he has to come out of early retirement. So he calls his old heisting buddy, Lester, to see if they can make something happen, but not before spending some quality time with the family. They take a relaxing bike ride along the beautiful beach of Los Santos, where we completely style on this worthless bastard.
All that smack talk ain't gonna put me off my stride.
Wait, no. That wasn't supposed to happen. Motherfuck. Jimmy then snitches that Tracy is on the inappropriate yacht. So we go get her and outrun the bozos chasing us. Now we finally get to see Lester. Before we can set anything in motion, he asks us to do a little favor first. We dress up like that hello fellow kids guy, sneak into a tech company, rig the prototype with an explosive, and then remotely take out the CEO. We then switch back to Franklin, who gets a visit from Lamar and this other dude, Stretch. And we go commit some more hoodonomics. Our business deal quickly turns into a setup because Lamar thought it was a good idea to make a deal with the same guy we tried to kidnap yesterday. For this one, I went with grenades. It was very funny watching them ragdoll from the explosions, randomly combusting, getting smacked in the face and then blowing up a few seconds later. The not so fun part was when a grenade would ricochet and kill Stretch instead. Timing Lamar's rescue was a pain in the ass. Timing the choppers though, way easier. After all that, a car conveniently presents itself to us. Meanwhile, Michael is preparing for the jewelry store heist. We grab both vans and assemble the crew. Since I wasn't planning any violence, but still wanted something to smash the display cases with, I went with the baseball bat. Hey, you leave my baseball bat alone game. Oh, and also we used some knockout gas. Then we get the usual goon dropping his little baggie, me picking it up, ramming a few police cars to stop them from chasing us, and getting away clean. Then the focus shifts to Trevor, who just like Michael survived after all these years. Hearing Michael's catchphrase being quoted by one of the security guards at the jewelry store completely trips him out, and he starts thinking Michael might be still out there. Once he snaps out of it, he goes into full rage mode, so hard that it leads to a raid on a biker gang. To deal with them, I went with the knife. Combined with Trevor's ability to reduce damage, it was very doable. Shank a few guys, then go hide in some random shack and pray I don't step on a sketchy needle. Perform a few more open heart surgeries, then move on to the guy running the gang. Trevor, you're waving the wrong weapon. That's better. And then we deal with... Why the f would you do that? And then we deal with Ortega. After that, Trevor tries to expand his business by setting up a Chinese contact. The meeting actually starts pretty well, until the Ortega boys show up to avenge their fallen boss. This time I chose the crowbar. We clear a few guys outside, then move to defend the other side of the building. This side felt way too open, so we had to wait them out. Every now and then a few would try to sneak in, and I could easily maul them down. After all that back and forth, the remaining gang members tried to push through the front. On the very last guy, my special ability runs out, and the goon is just about to light me up, but Chef, the absolute legend, comes in clutch. While all that was happening, they completely trashed Trevor's trailer, and honestly for him, it doesn't look that out of place. But still, we need to strike back. So we hit their base of operation. We start the mission with a regular sniper rifle, then take out the patrolling goons. Once enough are down, we move on to securing the airstrip, still using the sniper. Then we hop onto a plane. Our sniper gets taken away and replaced with a rifle, which we don't use. Instead, we just tank the damage using Trevor's special ability. Once the runway is secured for Ron, we take another plane. A goon climbs onto our wing. Unfortunately for him, his simple goon brain couldn't comprehend a barrel roll. Holy, that was clean. We go back to the Chinese fellas and they decided to partner with someone else. And that someone else, a family of inbred hillbillies. For this job, we're using the 50 caliber pistol. The range is pretty solid and the fire rate is decent enough. Once we eliminate a family branch, or I guess in their case, just another part of the circle, we also bring out the jerry can. Yes, it's a weapon. Kind of. Put some respect on its name. Now, we've got one last side quest before leaving this place. Completely eradicate the bikers and destroy their trailers. Any explosive will do. But I went with the RPG because it's incredibly satisfying watching them disintegrate after eating a rocket point blank. Halfway through the purge, a goon decides to make the ultimate sacrifice, dramatically dying and launching his bike straight at me in a final attempt to take me out. In the moment, I was very mad, but now that I see this, I kinda respect that. Finally, after cleaning the place up, we're free to leave and head to Los Santos to look for Michael. But first, we're going to need a place to stay. So we crash at Cousin Wade's place. When morning comes, Trevor makes an unexpected visit. The reunion is cut short though because we have to go save Michael's talentless daughter. At the audition, out of nowhere, Trevor with the chair, securing the whatever belt they use in wrestling. We chase Laszlo through the city and eventually make the bozo dance for our entertainment. Right after they separate, Michael panic calls his FIB handler, Dave, and tells him Trevor is back. If Trevor ever figures out that they're the ones who set him up all those years ago, he's going to kill them. But Dave's dealing with some turmoil at the FIB, so we need to run a small errand for him. Just a casual check to see if a certain body is at the morgue. We confirm it's not there. And for this one, we use our micro SMG we smuggled in our prison pockets. If you know, you know. We shoot our way out, make the jump, and pull off the getaway. After that, Dave introduces us to this scumbag, Steve Haynes. For this mission, the whole crew is assembled, and we need a fairly long-range weapon. The sniper the game provides was already used in one of Trevor's missions. So when Michael rappels down the building and we spot our target,
So far up your ass, your tonsils will be playing shadow puppets.
as entertaining as it might have been to see a flashlight of that size enter a man's rectum, we do actually have a job to do. Once Michael initiates the extraction, we swap to a musket with the help of a mod. After clearing most of them, we switch to Michael and give him the musket as well. Now, I have no idea how he managed to hold the guy down while firing a musket, considering he needs both hands to shoot and reload. Maybe he hooked him by the belt loops. When control switches to Franklin, we shoot down one of the choppers. Then we swap to Trevor and let Michael handle shooting the rest of the choppers. The poor guy thought we were liberating him. Nope, we're just re-kidnapping him. When Franklin gets home, he's greeted by Lamar and Trevor, who apparently showed up to make new friends. And we get another Hoodonomics mission, and the genius plan is to go buy drugs. And just like every previous Hoodonomics venture, it goes horribly wrong. The guy literally tries to sell us a piece of drywall. For this whole mission, I chose the pump shotgun. Range wasn't much of an issue since most of the guys rushed straight at me anyway. After blasting our way out of the hood, we make it to the sewer system, steal a couple of jet skis, ride them to shore, and push against the incoming wave of police. Then we get to witness Michael's midlife crisis firsthand. He does yoga, and then realizes the yoga instructor has been opening his wife's chakra channels. He gets his drink spiked by his son, gets his car stolen, and wakes up half naked outside to a letter saying his wife is leaving him. Rough day. Now, remember that guy we previously rescued? Yeah, we kidnapped him so we could torture him. We extract enough information to get a clear picture of who needs to be eliminated. The game hands us a sniper rifle, which again we've already used. So we make the executive decision to swap it to a marksman pistol. It's a little tricky without the scope, and I probably should have marked the target before switching, but hey, it's done. Then we get a plot mission where Trevor scouts the port for the Meriwether heist. He steals a submarine, then steals a cargo bob from a military base. I get annihilated by tanks, and as Franklin, we use the machine pistol to assassinate a CEO. Trevor calls in the crew for the Meriwether heist, and they go with the offshore approach since we only need to use one weapon there. Attaching the submarine was pain. Attaching it the second time, more pain. And once they start chasing us, we use the provided combat MG to take care of the pursuers. Next, our lovely government officials run into a funding problem. And when the government has a funding problem, it turns to its citizens to come up with the money. After a bit of prep work, the pieces are in place, and we go after an armored van. We cause a distraction, ram it off the road, and use a proximity mine to blow open the doors. For this mission, I went with the SMG. I thought it would hit a bit harder, but the real threats were the snipers and the helicopter. Everyone else just needed a few extra bullets of encouragement to die. After a job well done, we delivered the van's contents to Devin Weston. He offers Michael a deal he can't resist. Steal a few cars from his wish list and he'll introduce him to Solomon Richards, basically Michael's celebrity crush. The first two cars are pretty easy. We provoke the owners into a race, then Michael and Trevor, dressed as cops, simply pull them over and take the cars. The third one is straightforward too. We follow the target vehicle while Franklin tries to intercept it, though I'm convinced the devs built that bridge with the sole intention of this happening. Michael finally meets the man he's been simping for, but there's drama on set. An actor is demanding to get paid. The audacity! For this one, I went with something thematic. The vintage pistol. We climb the ladder, take out the guy on the roof, drop a few more below us, then sneak past a couple of others to reach the helipad. Up there we have to beat this guy up, and it has to be done with fists. Even something like the knuckle dusters don't work, so that's why we were saving up the fists. After that fisting session, Madrazo calls and tells us to come see him. He wants us to assassinate someone. The game provides us with a special weapon. Whatever it's called, we cross it off the list. Then we follow a falling plane until it crashes. Incinerate a few guys with a Molotov, torch the van with the same Molotov, and get greeted with the news that Trevor had a bit of a falling out with Madrazo, and as a result, he kidnapped his wife. While that's going on, Franklin is busy stealing the fourth car for Devin. Taking the car itself is easy. It's getting away that's the problem. The cars chasing us stick like flies to shit. And I guess that's a bad analogy because I'm the shit, but you get the point. They rubber band like crazy and I'm pretty sure they straight up teleport. Now this car does have weapons, but I didn't want to use them just yet, because we'll need them later. Could I have used them? Probably, but I wanted to keep things consistent. So instead, I managed to bait both of the pursuers into this little canal, styled on them to let them know they got outplayed, and then drove off to deliver the car. Trevor then decides to intercept a weapons cache. That mission was basically 10 minutes of flying followed by 30 seconds of shooting, where we used a sawed-off shotgun. Unfortunately, the weapons cache gets destroyed because some fighter jets shoot us down. The parachute usage is mandatory, otherwise Trevor dies. Again, I know it's not a weapon, but I did want to stay consistent. Using the parachute here does lock us out of the rooftop approach for the FIB Bureau heist. Therefore, we must do the fire crew approach, where we will have to use sticky bombs. So no sticky bomb usage until that mission, just to show how minor details can have major impact. Then the FIB agents show up again with their usual funding please. So we go check out a potential lead. You'd think this would be a simple scouting mission, but no, we have to waste a pistol just to test an alarm bell. After finalizing the plan, Trevor gets a call from Franklin saying, "Hey, remember those inbred hillbillies you took out? Well, apparently some of them regenerated and are coming for you." So Trevor flies with Michael to snipe them down, and this time we use a heavy sniper rifle. Then we go steal military hardware from a convoy. For this one, I chose the hammer, and it was so much fun. Running up, bonking a few, and then watch as the chaos unfolds. Next up, a bank heist. For this one, we need something beefy. Okay, no, that's too beefy. I went with a bullpup rifle instead. We clear the guys outside, take down a helicopter, deal with a fence, and then watch as one guy launches himself into the air. Trevor really didn't like that wall. I decided to test the suit by standing directly in the minigun shower, but I guess friendly fire was disabled. We pushed through a chicken factory and escaped by train. And speaking of trains, we rob one right after. First though, we actually have to jump onto it. I did pull off a very cool trick. but unfortunately it didn't help me get on the train. Once we finally make the jump, Trevor causes a derail and some of the containers fall into the river. As Michael, we open one using a homing launcher. I think most explosives would have worked, but it's crucial that we save the sticky bombs for the bureau raid. While Michael searches inside for valuables, Trevor has to defend him. I went with the SNS pistol, that funny looking squished from the front handgun. Really, we needed some decent range here. The boats and the helicopter were easy enough to deal with. The snipers on the bridge though, very difficult. I only found them because the aiming dot turned red. Then some paratroopers tried to make a dramatic entrance, but they miscalculated and slid straight down to their deaths. So much for that epic entrance. For the getaway, I used Trevor's special ability to tank through everything. When we finally land on shore, Trevor and Michael get into an argument. Michael doesn't want to spend the rest of his life living in a trailer, being the third wheel to Trevor and the wife he kidnapped. So he wants to give the statue to Madrazo as an apology. For the price of one statue, he pitches Trevor the biggest heist imaginable, the Union Depository. Trevor's hesitant, but eventually agrees. Then we raid a lab with the FIB agents. I went with the assault SMG and just started spraying lead. Innocent or guilty, everyone ended up on the FIB tab. We secured the toxin, place it inside a container, and then have to pick that container up. That was easily the most difficult part of the whole mission. The second most difficult part, landing the container. After that, Trevor makes amends with Madrazo by returning the wife. He even goes to the cousin's place and proposes a three-way relationship. They completely flip out at how absurd the idea is. And yeah, don't bring a Trevor to a gun and a knife fight. We relocate our base of operations and go scout the Union Depository. Not long after, Michael and Trevor get into another altercation because Trevor finally connects the dots about Brad and the whole North Yankton setup. Trevor gets a head start. So by the time we arrive, he's already dug up Brad. The standoff gets interrupted when the Chinese guys ambush us. Apparently, since Michael and Trevor lived in that trailer together for a while, they kind of assume they're boyfriends. So they want Michael too. There's a lot of cover in this area, so I went with something that guarantees one-hit kills, the heavy shotgun. When we finally get into our car, it turns out to be sabotaged, and the Chinese guys catch up to us. Once Trevor returns, Lamar and Franklin grab the last car, and the three of them try to deliver everything to Devon. It goes smoothly until the police show up, and this is where we finally utilize the car's weaponry. They're pretty powerful, so the cops end up being more of an annoyance than an actual threat. When we deliver the cars, there's a lot of profound words being thrown around. Reinvest, rigorous, which basically translates to we just got scammed. We call Lester since Michael is not picking up, and he tells us Trevor was the last guy with him. Trevor tells us the Chinese snatched Michael. Lester then sends us an app that tracks Michael to the slaughterhouse. And while it isn't mandatory, we start with the combat pistol. By doing so, we save ourselves a weapon slot, because when we reach Michael, we toss him a combat pistol. It is a mission weapon and would be needed to be overwritten. So this just keeps things convenient. After fighting off the incoming attackers, we return the favor and save Franklin. We push towards the exit and make our escape. Right after, Michael goes to see Solomon and finds him getting punched in the nuts. We use the heavy pistol on the guy who touched Solomon in the no-no zone, and with that, all the handguns are officially crossed off the list. Then the FIB boys ask for one last job. Stevie has been named in some files, and he'd rather they not see the light of day. So we need to retrieve them from inside the FIB building. As part of the prep, Franklin steals the building's blueprints. For some reason, I vividly remember him dropping the suitcase during the encounter. So when he suddenly started running away, it kinda threw me off. I wasn't planning on using a weapon here, so I had to improvise. A flying knee to the spine convinced him that maybe the suitcase wasn't as important as he thought. Once we bring the blueprints back, we choose the fire crew approach. We enter the building disguised as a janitor, mop a few floors, and in between plant the sticky bombs we've been saving. Then we trigger the explosion and switch our disguise to a first response unit. We break into the server room with another sticky bomb, and then some FIB agents turn hostile after they realize we're not actually firefighters. Mainly because we're not extinguishing any fires and are instead randomly roaming the building. We use the special carbine rifle to fight them off. There aren't that many of them, they're just hard to see. We run out of the building saying it is what it is. And once we make our escape, we head back to Lester to celebrate the job we just pulled off. And while it would be fun to see Lester go wild, we still have unfinished business with the FIB. Since that was supposed to be our last job, we tell the FIB we're done. But of course that doesn't happen, and things escalate. The moment a single shot is fired, the whole situation turns into a free-for-all. I figured the appropriate weapon here would be the minigun, and that was correct. It absolutely annihilated everything in its path. Trevor even shows up to rescue Michael. He clearly didn't get the memo. There we go, that's better. Look at him waving that thing around like a Giga Chad. Once we reach the parking lot and clear it out, David tries to pull something and sabotage us. But either way, we had to exit the car to take down the helicopter. After that mess, the gang reunites under one shared goal, going after the Union Depository. We also get Michael reunited with his family. It's a plot mission with no action, but still worth mentioning. Michael visits Solomon and runs into Devin and Molly, who are shutting down the film production. Solomon asks if we can do something about it, and just like that, we're chasing her. Okay, that's kind of BS that I got taken out by that tiny flame. Molly then has a bit of an accident, but it's fine because the movie production stays on track and Michael's family gets invited to the premiere. We grab a tuxedo, roll up in a nice limo, looking all ching ching bling bling. Everything seems perfect until Devin implies that our family might be in danger. So we rush to the rescue, and the rescue might be a strong word because I chose the assault shotgun. Probably not ideal to use something with that much spread, but our options are getting limited. We clear the inside of the house, move out to the driveway, and do the same there. Michael finally makes it to his family, but gets ambushed by a goon. Luckily, Jimmy, who was doing a bong-only challenge, steps in and takes care of the guy. Lamar's Hoodonomics finally caught up with him, and he ended up on the receiving end of it. Lil Bro got abducted, and it's on Franklin to save him. For some reason, the grenade launcher seemed like a good idea. With that many enemies, we just toss one out and hope for the best. And once again, they randomly combust. Very entertaining. When we finally reach Lamar, there's a guy camping right next to him. Franklin refuses to shoot him, so we had to do a machete chop. After clearing the remaining goons and making sure everyone's safe, it's time for the big one, the Union Depository heist. I went with a subtle approach since there's only one shooting section. After finishing the prep work, we ambush a random car along with the armored van and arrive disguised as guards. Everything goes smoothly. They practically hand us the gold. At some point, Merryweather picks up our trail, and that's when the shooting section starts. With very few weapons left to choose from, I went with the assault rifle. The fact that they're armored doesn't really matter when aiming for the head. After clearing out the bozos who interrupted us, all that is left is the escape. We pull off a coordinated getaway, and just like that, the heist of the decade is complete. But even a major success like this can hide the ongoing conflict between Michael and Trevor. The tension gets so bad that our celebration is cut short. After some time passes, we get an unexpected visit from Devin, who orders us to kill Michael. Not so long ago, the FIB said the same thing about Trevor, so now we have a choice to make. On a scale of 1 to 10, how anticlimactic would it be if I chose to kill Michael or Trevor? I'm thinking a strong 8. I'm joking, I go with the canon ending. Lester comes up with a high-risk, high-reward plan. Use ourselves as bait and lure in both the FIB and Merryweather. Since we're probably going to finish this challenge with a few extra weapons to spare, I decided to use the firework launcher. Watching them combust and then explode into pretty lights felt like a victory lap. It got even better when all three of us started blasting it. Once we move outside, we need a bit of accuracy, so I swapped to the advanced rifle. At one point, Trevor goes MIA, but it turns out he just wanted to see if Michael cared. And he did. Bromance restored. After dealing with what's left of the FIB in Merryweather, we still have to clean up a few loose ends before riding off into the sunset. The game calls it a whatever sweeper, but we both know it's a Tommy gun. The Chinese triad, ratatatatatatatata. Stretch, ratatatatatatatata. Steve Haynes, ratatatatatatatata. And for Devin Weston and his goons, I went with something very fitting. A broken bottle soaked in STD water. We kidnap Devin, give him a little goodbye speech, and send him off. As for the challenge, yes, it is possible to beat GTA 5 with only using a weapon once. We even got a few spared ones. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like. If you have any suggestions, want to discuss something, or just want to say hi, drop a comment. And yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.